Ladies and gentlemen, we often do podcasts on key players of the 1920s and 30s, especially the New York Rangers. Now, the New York Rangers of the 1930s, Bill and Bun Cook, Frank Boucher, Ching Johnson. Now, this player made the 1931 version of that Ranger squad that had those Hall of Famers. But there was some controversy in recent years about his playing in the NHL. Fred Sakamoose has been considered the first Aboriginal player in NHL history, but of course, according to research in recent years, especially in his hometown of Ayr, Ontario, a very beautiful community, this gentleman has pretty well been confirmed as the first full-blooded Aboriginal person in the show's history. And him getting there was a miracle. And of course, when your name Maracle or Maracle, it's a doubly sweet. Now today we're talking about the great 2-decade career of Henry Elmer Buddy Maracle, or Maracle, depending on your pronunciation. He had played pro hockey and senior hockey for about 2 decades. He was so good he made 11 games in the NHL with the Rangers during the 31 season and also played in the postseason. Now, born in Ayr, Ontario, he grew up in Haileybury, Ontario. He's a member of the Mohawk First Nation out there, and he was the first, again, full-blooded First Nation hockey player in the NHL at the time. He was recalled to the Rangers in March of 31. A devastatingly handsome man, could have been a movie star, and like I said, he was very, very popular in his home region, and wherever he went, he played with a whole bunch of teams. Now, research has suggested that Maracle's family heritage draws from the Oneida Mohawks. His family picked up and moved from the First Nation at Six Nations of the Grand River to Ayr early in the 20th century. Now, again, born September 8, 1904. He was born to Albert Maracle, or Maracle, in Elsie Hill. After moving to Haileybury, Maracle took up the game of hockey at the high school level. Now his elite hockey career lasted 20 years, and he's known to have suited up with numerous squads from across North America, including the prestigious North Bay Trappers of the Northern Ontario Hockey Association, the Toronto Industrial of the TIHL, the Springfield Indians of the Canadian American Hockey League, where he was captain, the New York Rangers of the NHL, the Bronx Tigers of the Can-Am, the New Haven Eagles of the Can-Am, the Philadelphia Arrows of the Can-Am, the Tulsa Oilers of the American Hockey Association, and the Detroit Pontiacs of the Michigan Ontario Hockey League. Now, a big drink of water, 5'11", 195 left winger, booming left shot. Now, he spent a grand total of 6 campaigns in Springfield, and again became the club's captain. Now, when he married Josephine Hardman, they had a great life together, but he eventually found himself in the Texas region. He died in Dallas in 58 of complications for anemia. He had been a truck driver for a produce company at the time of his death. Now, several members of his family has been made known in recent years through published reports in their hometown paper and other considerations that he is the first one. The NHL has not formally recognized his place in league history, despite mounting evidence and research published in 2018 by multiple authors, including from the Iron News and the Hockey News. You can see this online, some interesting presentations. Instead, the focus has been to accept Fred Sakamoose's 53 debut with the Blackhawks as the league's first purely Indigenous player who was represented in a regular season game. In a competing claim, a third player, Paul Jacobs, is also alleged to have been the first Indigenous player when he supposedly played a single contest for the Toronto Arenas in the NHL in 1918, which was the association's second campaign. However, newspaper reports suggest he may only practice with the squad in the preseason before heading back to Quebec. Now, in 2018, the Rangers donated a pair of modern-day jerseys emblazoned with his name, Maracle's name, and number 14 to rinks in Ayr and at Six Nations. Now, in 2020, the Ontario Sports Hall of Fame notified the Air News that Maracle was being considered for induction. Now, according to Hockey Database, we're going to go over a little bit of information of his squads. Now, in 1922, he was with the Haileybury Public School, then 3 seasons with the Trappers, 26 with Toronto Industrial, and his campaigns with Springfield were very, very effective, especially in 28 when he had 15 goals in 40 regular season games. Now he's called up to the Rangers in 31, again, when he played with multiple Hall of Famers, 4 points in the regular season, 1 goal, 4 games in the playoffs. Now, 32 with the Bronx Tigers, 34 and 35 New Haven Eagles, best campaign there, 11 goals in 34. Now, when he moved over to Philadelphia Arrows, combination, he had 14 goals in 43 games in the Can-Am that year. Now, 36 Tulsa Oilers, 12 goals that year, 37 with Tulsa Oilers, and then the Detroit Pontiacs. Now, we're going to go more into stats here because I want to make sure all the bases are covered. Now,
with what's called a hold, he put the claims at 39. Now, between there's not much deals, but eventually, with San Diego, of all places, with the Skyhawks of CSL, 44, where we have full statistics and 13 games and 7 goals. Can-Am totals, some big numbers, 104 points in 277 games with 291 minutes and penalties. So he wasn't scared to defend himself or his teammates. In the Can-Am, 6 points in 9 games, including 4 goals, and of course 15 games in the NHL. Now, what makes it interesting for me, there would be no public negativity if Henry was found to be officially the first full-blooded First Nation person to play in the NHL. But I think how it works with the NHL, things are slow working. There's various members of his family, descendants, extended family, are very proud. He proudly wear his Ranger, what he call dedication jersey at public events and different activities. So I think if the momentum continues, you're going to see him probably finally get the official recognition. But if his hometown believes he's First Nation, and his family believes he's First Nation, there should be no doubt. But I just want you to take a look at how handsome this guy was. Hockey skills besides, my God, if he could do a movie in in 2023, some of I just saw the Oscars, there's some actors not as nice looking as this guy. He's very impressive. I heard about this guy when I was in my 30s. I'm 57 now, when Saskatchewan was in the news again, and some of my Mi'kmaq, Maliseet friends and relatives noted this and were wondering how come it was weird. Because we're very proud of Reggie Leach and all the other Aboriginal players through the years, like Gino Wojcik and stuff like that. So I don't think it's racism, I just think it's laziness. So if they believe it, I believe it, and why would they lie? Because they're not getting any monetary compensation. There's not a whole bunch of, Maracle hockey cards flying around. But where this works together, the fans of Willie O'Ree, the fans of Saskatchewan, the friends of Buddy, you should all get together and basically say players of color are very important, extremely important, and he must be celebrated because they're groundbreaking. But it's funny, the Rangers would, and the Boston Bruins would do this, American teams. You figured the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens would be reaching out to, especially the Carnegie, our great player Carnegie, but, funny times, like 1930s had racism, and it kind of went away with the Second World War, came back in the 50s. It was racism every year, but it seems to be more like it's a wave, like in 2023. I mean, everything's out in the open, the negativity and the positivity. But I know something about this. People from his section in Ontario are tremendous athletes. So I'm not surprised that he made the NHL. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing, our vintage podcast of the NHL in the 1930s, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share, or super chat. And don't forget, if you're only good as your last shift, from what I heard, any place he went, he made an impact on the squads he made. My God, you don't make it a captain of Springfield. Springfield's a legendary team. You don't put you in charge unless you can do it. You know, say like Jean Beliveau. Jean Beliveau once told me, if they make you captain, there's a reason. Thanks for listening. Bye.